Hey, welcome to Film versus Movie, the podcast where we debate the cinema you hate. I'm your co-host Belton DeLaine-Facey,
And my name's Chris Shurr.
and on this podcast, we watch the movies that have been slandered, desecrated, and cursed with a magic penis by public opinion. And one of us tells you why it's actually pretty good.
And the other one's going to tell you why it's a steaming pile of shit.
And today is our Valentine's Day episode. So for that, we brought in some extra love. He's a talented comedian. She's a great actress. Together, they're an adorable couple. Please welcome Brian Bueche and Zoe Bentley.
Shut up. Adorable couple. You know how hard it is to be the power couple in a friend group? It's so hard. Because now, like, everything we do is adorable. It's like, you know, like, it's just like, oh, we went grocery shopping. Oh, you guys are so cute. It's like, ugh.
Go grocery shopping.
No, we don't. I got groceries yesterday. We don't live together.
I mean, if you want to feel better, I can show you some of my Hinge messages.
Those are always fun.
I've been on. Listen.
fun.
I am a Hinge veteran. Okay, I know the horrors, and I'm glad I'm not dealing with that right now.
Did you guys
so.
meet on Hinge?
We sure
Yes, we
did.
did.
Oh,
okay.
okay.
Not
Did you
sponsored.
delete the app or do you still have it just to spite him?
Oh no, I have it just for fun.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. No, it's still there. I mean,
News
every
to
now and then
me.
I just get bored. I'm like, let's see. Oh, Julia, 24. Okay, you know. No.
Oh man, we're just giving Hinge all this like free, unsponsored content.
Yeah, Hinge would be really nice, you know, if you
us up.
sponsored this
Success
podcast.
story.
Yeah. Anyway, would you guys like to tell everyone the movie we'll be discussing today?
Yeah, we're discussing the cinematic masterpiece, Good Luck, Chuck.
Oh yeah, my favorite movie.
Yes, starring Dane Cook, like
Dane
in the
Cook.
height of his fame.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
this is
What,
post Vicious Circle, the big MSG special that I watched a lot of when I was a kid, like 2006. That was when YouTube first happened, right? 2006. And that was like it was just that and like Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged and Shoes and Charlie the Unicorn and Dane Cook. And that was all that was on YouTube in 2006.
It's a really well-rounded experience.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
And that made me the man I am today. So I like shitting on Dane Cook, but he did form my prepubescent sense of humor. So I can't get mad at him too much.
Yeah, I feel like Dane Cook is just the definition of what Gen Zers refer to as millennial cringe.
A little bit, yeah.
I see that.
Yeah.
Very
a
like
little bit.
mid-2000s.
Because
yeah.
like when you peel the layers back on his stand-up, he has no material. He's just loud.
Yeah.
Like he literally just like every Dane Cook impression is just like, I go to the BK lounge. What's the BK lounge? It's the lounge where I pull out my fat cock. Like that's every Dane Cook bit. It's just super self-aggrandizing and like annoying. And then you peel back, you're like, oh, he's just loud. That's all it is, you know?
Yeah. So Good Luck, Chuck. He plays a man who's cursed with every woman finding their love after sleeping with him.
Which is not a bad premise inherently. You know, like you could pitch that and be like, okay, that's interesting. But then they just made it. But then they were like, let's have Dane Cook star in it. And just, no.
All downhill from
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
It's just weird having him be like the love interest where I'm just like, Dane Cook is someone to make fun of. Like Dane Cook is someone when you're around him, you're like, oh, okay, well, I guess this is all just a fucking joke.
Kind of.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Like I don't think he was he ever considered like leading man material? Like did anyone ever consider him as like, oh, he's one of the hottest guys in Hollywood. He has to lead a rom-com.
Well, hottest as far as looks or hottest as in most marketable for that time?
We're talking about looks right now.
Looks.
We're being superficial right
Okay,
now.
here's the thing. I don't think Dane Cook is like bad looking. Is that a hot take? He's not hot.
No, I wouldn't say he's bad looking, but I also don't get the impression that like women find him attractive. Like,
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna give him some credit. I just think that the early aughts, that look is so dated, it just doesn't carry over.
I
That's
mean,
very
yes.
true.
Where like someone who's attractive in like the 1970s, in 2020, you're like, oh, strong jawline, like good
Mhm.
style, a little outdated. But this, you're like, oh, frosted tips.
Yeah,
and like,
Well, it doesn't have
Yeah.
frosted tips. It's more just
it's
that
a-
like he decided to take some hair gel and just went like this,
Yeah.
and then just
Look.
let nature take its course.
yeah,
That was a look.
Yeah, like I mean, on a 2025 film set, if your lead actor comes out of the hair and makeup trailer with that haircut, a producer's like, somebody in that trailer is getting fired.
Oh yeah,
Does 2007 count as a period piece now?
a little bit. I think it does.
That's freaky.
I feel like it's got to be like 20 years where we put the cutoff.
If they're using a flip phone, it's a period piece.
was
as far
Madam
as-
Web a period piece?
Yes.
I think
Um,
so.
I think we talked about that on the
Yeah.
podcast.
Yes, Madam Web is a period of time when we were so desperate to go outside during COVID that we were like, sure, we'll see that movie in theaters. Why not?
Manuel was last year.
Yeah.
Was it? Listen, time's not real, as that movie proves.
Also, great movie.
No, yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
Movie. Listen, I listened to the pod. I listened to it. Shout out to Otter. Okay.
All right. Well, let's get into the plot of Good Luck Chuck.
Yes.
So first scene is in 1985. We enter in on 10-year-old Charlie at a house party. While playing Spin the Bottle, it lands on his goth girl. During 7 minutes of heaven, he rejects her, and she puts a hex on him that basically anyone he's with, she'll find love immediately after.
Which, like, first of all, did the 10-year-old girl have to take her shirt off? Like, did she
not
have
want
to?
see that.
I was actually thinking of the same thing where I'm like, if you have a scene like that, do you have to have like a cop on set or some sort of like just
That's so
an
true.
extra piece of authority to kind of be like, all right, we're doing like a weird
Where were the
pseudo
stage
sex scene
moms?
involving kids. Like,
Yeah, it also feels weird that they put it at 10 years old. I feel like that's at least middle school stuff.
Yeah, no, like I was questioning. I'm like, maybe I was just lame, but I didn't play Spin the Bottle at 10 years old. That feels like worryingly.
Oh, I've never
young.
played Spin the Bottle in my entire
same.
life.
But like,
every boy in that age, we all hope we'll play Spin the Bottle at some point. We all hope that happens, and then it doesn't, and then we become adults.
10 is just like children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't want to watch a child in a leather bra.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
The fact that
Hot
she
take.
knows, the fact that
Hot
she knows it was
take.
leather, like I didn't even like
Because it
clock the material.
stood out to me as that's a bold choice to put a child in. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then it goes to the present, which for this movie is 2007. Like a grown up Charlie, he's getting on with his girlfriend Carol on a beach. And when she says "I love you," he doesn't say it back, causes a fight. They break up.
Oh, it's not that he doesn't say it back. He goes, I don't say the L word. Like that was how he said it. And also full nudity. I did not think that was going to be a part of this movie, by the way. As soon as nipple came out, I was like, whoa, this is a different movie than I thought it would be.
Yeah, I mean it's an R-rated comedy in 2007. Someone sat down and was like, look, we have to earn our hard R rating.
Well,
I
thought they were going to save it for the unrated version on DVD. Remember when they used to have that? When they would like the difference is just a little more nipple. That's
there's
the only difference.
probably
There was-
an unrated version.
Oh
Of this.
my God,
there,
yes.
there definitely is. I'm pretty sure the runtime is like 5 minutes longer.
And it's it's like that cover that we're looking at on the IMDb page here that the audience can't see. So I just realized I ruined the
Yeah.
illusion. But it's that, and then
Broke
it's
the
like
fourth wall.
unrated in big bold black letters with a white outline. And
Covering
it's like
the boobies.
yeah,
too.
and it's like
Yes.
oh yes, and it's like
Yes.
stamped on. Like it has like a
Mhm.
stamp thing. Like they were just like you can't see this. It's like
Redacted.
it's the same energy as like when a comedian has a special with like caution tape around their face. Like I can't say this. It's exactly the same energy. Oh God, the 2000s, man, they were so obsessed with being edgy.
Okay. Also, I just want to like mid blowjob. Weird time to say I love you for the first time.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
She articulated
Fair
it very
enough.
well for having given a blowjob at that moment too.
I was more. It'd just be odd. Like I don't.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah,
That's a
yeah, that's the part that stood out to me.
Like you, in my head, you're like, I want to save this for like a very
Yeah.
level-headed time where I'm like, I want to know
Exactly.
if I love them, not
Mhm.
that like I'm coming.
Yes.
fair.
Also, right on the beach in broad daylight, like that's bold.
true.
Yeah. All right. So now Charlie is a successful dentist. He works across from his best friend Stu, who's a plastic surgeon.
He sure is.
Like he specializes in breast implants. Like he should not have a medical license. Like
No,
I'd be surprised if he actually did.
I think there is a line at one point where Dane Cook is like, how did you get your medical license? And he's like, you need a license? Like, I think there is a line where he's like,
Okay,
don't-
honestly, I'm thinking about getting a boob job recently, and I was like, I kind of want to go to this guy for the
Yeah.
boob. I don't think that there's a person in the world who's more excited about boobs than this
You know
dude.
what? It's his. He's an artist, and that's his canvas.
yeah.
The surgeon I went to, he was in like kind of similar, just like take all the horniness out of it, which is
good.
just a little weird. Where he's just like, yeah, boobs are really. He had like a lot to say about breasts as they are on their own.
here's the
Found his
problem.
niche.
Here's the problem is like if you're gonna be someone who specializes in breast augmentation surgery, game has to recognize game a little bit. Like, you do have to be an appreciator of the titty in order to know what, like, you have to know what makes for a good titty, because that's the whole point. That's why you're there.
For anyone listening who's lost, the whole bit with Stu is that he's a giant pervert who can't get laid.
Yeah.
Yes, pretty much.
He's got he's got chiclet teeth, and that's how you know. That's how Hollywood tells you that someone's a creep, is if they have chiclet teeth. And he also, his just outfits are all insane. Like, they all just very much give off like, I'm a creep and I smell like really cheap cologne energy. You know?
Yeah. So Charlie and Stu go to the wedding of Charlie's ex, where she toasts him as his lucky charm. There he meets Cam, who's played by Jessica Alba, a super clumsy penguin habitat manager. He gives her his card. After that, he suddenly notices an abundance of women like hitting on him, wanting to go out with him. He soon finds out Carol, his ex at the beginning, is now engaged, and while on a date with a woman, she reveals that like basically he has this reputation of the good luck charm, where anytime he sleeps with a woman, the next guy she goes out with is her true love.
Yeah, this is also the part where we had a really hard time keeping track of who was who, because like there was just so many like hot women where I was like, which one is the one that Dane Cook was dating? Which one is the one that, like, it was just very hard to keep track of. Also, who invites an ex to your wedding?
Yeah,
We were saying the same thing.
That's the thing.
Like,
And
never.
a recent ex at that.
Yeah,
Never.
Also,
yeah, like I could see it like if you're still in the same friend group and it's just like, okay, I'm basically inviting like all your friends. Okay, I could see that.
I don't know, man. I've had that happen. Like I had okay, this is a little messy, but like when I was in college, one of my friends was dating a girl and then they broke up, and then my other friend ended up dating this girl like very soon after, like within a few weeks, and the other guy was very mad about it, and like he was the only one of our friends that didn't go to the wedding, and then he got mad at all of us for going to the wedding. And I'm like, why are you mad at us for going to the wedding? I don't give a shit about their marriage. I just want to go have food and wear a suit and say hi to my friends that I haven't seen in 3 years. Anyway, it was a whole point is I've seen it in my life that no, I'm not. Like, I would not go to the wedding. I'd be like, nope.
also, just this is a way different movie if he's not a dentist. Like, if he's a poor guy, he is just becoming the richest sex worker in America.
You know what?
Oh my God, yeah.
That is a very different movie.
Well, like, is he rich as a dentist?
I
Like,
mean,
You
it's
make
why
money
he's
as a
like
dentist.
successful. So
they do imply that he's rich, like he does
Yeah.
have a nice house, but also in movies they always make you like things look a little nicer than they would be in real
Did
life.
you
He
see the
also drives
size
a
of that
convertible.
office?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That a lot of patients come through that place. I
Yeah.
feel like.
Well, it was like a big office building, like in the middle of like LA, I guess. This movie felt very LA. Like it felt like it was written by somebody who has a lot of shitty friends in LA where they all just date each other and then get married on a whim, you know? Like I was like, as a white boy that lives in Brooklyn, this is just not relatable to me.
Yeah,
That's the biggest problem.
Yeah, they get married fast in this movie.
That's
Yeah.
the thing. All the relationships are like 6 months long, if that.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
I was saying when we were watching it, it felt very much like this was written by someone who's like, I'm 30, I need to get married right now. Like that's, you know what I mean? Like it felt like that culture of like, I'm supposed to get married, and if I'm not by the time I'm 30, I am less of a person, you know?
Yeah. Okay. So Cam calls him up when she chips a tooth. He asks her out, but she rejects all of the advances. So after that, Stu convinces Charlie to indulge in guilt-free sex with all the women that are coming after him. So he does that. There's a montage about it, but then after that, he's still hung up on Cam. So he has her out again, convinces her to go out with him. They start dating, fall for each other. He at this point he's not even thinking about this curse. Then Stu lets him know every woman he slept with is now married. That causes him to get cold feet when Cam obviously wants to sleep with him. So they decide to test this theory. Charlie sleep with this morbidly obese woman. Like the movie emphasizes how big she is.
Yeah.
And and then has Stu ask her out to see if they fall in love. All this whole time he's avoiding seeing Cam in person, but they talk over the phone. Stu says like they went out, no feelings, so he feels there's no curse. So he immediately goes over to Cam's place. They have sex. Morning after, he's watching the news and sees the morbidly obese woman kissing a guy and holding hands on TV. Stu confirms he just lied, and he's like, and so panicking, Charlie smothers Cam until she dumps him. I guess I should specify smothers with like gifts and like over the top affection.
He also dresses up in a penguin suit and comes out of a present with like 4 a cappella singers.
And sings Crazy on You.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Which is the most 2007 part of this movie, somehow. Like, that is a song I haven't heard in 10 years.
Yeah. And so, like, remembering about the hex that was put on him, he tracks down the girl that put it on him. She's now married with a kid, and she's like, I don't know what I was doing. It was like, if you really love her, you need to let her go. So he does. He arranges for Cam to meet this penguin researcher she like idolizes, has essentially a celebrity crush on.
Yeah, they really, like, this is the part of the movie where I feel like the writers realized that they had not given Cam a personality. So they were like, oh, she works at a penguin place. Cool. Her entire personality is penguins.
Okay, here's the thing. I don't remember exactly where I read this, but some time ago I saw online someone that said a manic pixie dream girl is just a hot girl with autism, and that's exactly what this movie is.
No, 100%. Like literally, her
Honestly.
personality is that she likes penguins and she's clumsy, and that's it.
Yeah, like her brother's like, you love penguins. Like, no, that's a hyperfixation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a little bit.
That's a special interest right there.
Yeah. Listen, though, guys, you need to understand. She's not like other girls, okay? She's different, okay? She likes hot girls. They don't like penguins, but this one does. So it's different.
Yeah. All right. So he goes in and checks on her at the exhibit. See she's getting along with the guy. Leaves her be, and then Stu and his 3-breasted fiance tell Charlie that Cam and this guy are about to fly in Antarctica. He chases her down in the airport, asks her not to leave, and she's just like, I'll be back next week, and reveals the guy also has a wife. So they get back together, kiss. The girl that put the hex on him also pulls like a Charlie voodoo doll out of her closet, takes the pin out of the heart, and so happily ever after.
See, it's you know, like it makes you think, like, was it the curse or was the curse in his head the whole time? I mean, it's very, you know, it's like The Shining, really, if you think about it.
Yeah.
It's that level
It's
of
really
brilliance.
deep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, like Stanley Kubrick could never come up with something like this.
Yeah, I mean, part of me is also like, first off, after like he makes a big fiasco in the aquarium where she works, and he has to be like escorted out by security. He should not be allowed back in after
No,
that.
he beat a guy up.
He goes into that aquarium like 6 times for the second half of the movie, and like 4 of those he's like not allowed.
Oh,
He just walks in.
Oh yeah, and he just like walks into the penguin exhibit.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah.
And like in full view of her, like she's always up there like feeding the
Uh-huh.
penguins, and like she is completely able to see him. It's like, dude, stop coming to this place.
Yeah. Also, if I'm one of her coworkers, I'm pissed they get back together. If we have to have a staff meeting about your ex-boyfriend, you should not be allowed to get back together. That should be a fireable offense.
No, like literally, it's like, and like, of course, like her stoner brother is the only other employee we see there.
Yeah, that's
Kinda
what I
love
was.
him.
It's 2 people can take care of like 50 penguins.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
they need 1
Yeah.
security guard, and that's the entire
Mhm.
aquarium.
That's
much.
also like my favorite mid-2000s thing is like the funny stoner, because like that's just not a thing you would see in a movie now, because like everyone's a stoner, so it's not shocking. Like if you pitched Harold and Kumar to somebody now, be like, okay, so like it's 2 stoners and they really want to go to White Castle, you'd be like, okay, and Like it's not interesting anymore.
They
you
get
know?
an Uber and go.
Yeah.
They
Or
hit
they
it-
just
Uber
DoorDash
Eats
it.
now.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
hit their pen the whole time in the back of the Uber. Like, it's not interesting.
I'm imagining like the movie execs, so like mushrooms would make it a bit more interesting. Like
Yeah.
no
You
one's
just gotta
buying-
keep
Well, yeah,
raising
no,
the
they
bar.
microdose beforehand.
Yeah,
but, like, you know, it's
yeah.
You
Like
need
if
this-
they did Harold and Kumar now, the big conflict would be they spent like $60 on a meal at White Castle.
it'd be them like watching their Grubhub driver like on the GPS, just like turning in weird directions. Like, where are you going? Our block's this way. Like, just you ever have that happen?
I think
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
to make an interesting stoner comedy nowadays, you'd have to do like a group of moms getting into hijinks.
Yes.
So like what you're saying is like Goldie Hawn,
Yep.
and we bring back Betty White from the dead, and who else? What was that movie with it was a bunch of old ladies where they wanted to meet Tom Brady? Remember that movie?
I remember it's called
yeah.
80 for Brady.
Yes,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
group of ladies, but they discover weed.
Who's the penis finger lady from Everything Everywhere All at
Oh,
Once?
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yes.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
She's-
The disrespect on Freaky Friday. Excuse me. The disrespect of Christmas with the Cranks. Excuse me. Tim Allen's best Christmas movie by far. Okay. Season 2 of One Piece. I don't think she's actually going to be in that, but there were rumors.
I think she is.
I don't remember. I know she said she wanted to be in it, and then I don't remember if they actually cast her or not.
All right.
I don't watch One Piece.
Good Luck Chuck was directed by Mark Helfrich, which this is the only feature film he's directed.
Yeah, he's an editor.
Yeah, he's primarily a Hollywood editor. He's worked on a lot of films such as the original Predator and Rush Hour. The only other things he's directed was an episode of Bones and an episode of Prison Break.
Wait, which episode of Bones? Sorry to get us off track. I'm just
No,
like,
this is the
genuinely-
important
No,
stuff.
yeah.
I want to know.
Bones season 6, episode 6, The Challenge of the Deep.
I think that's a good one. I
haven't
think
seen
that's
it.
like a really good
You know
one.
what?
I've only seen like the first 2 seasons.
So
of
what
Bones.
we're
It's
saying
really
is,
good.
Yeah.
Watch all 14.
what we're
Is
saying
that
is,
many?
Yeah. It gets by the end, you're just like, okay.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, okay.
More bones.
Yeah, there's more bones.
All right, and so there are 2 credited writers. The first one is Steve Glenn. This movie is his only IMDb credit.
Oh my God.
Yeah, basically, so he wrote a short story. This is based off. He probably knew one of the producers or something. So they gave him a writing and producing credit, and he also played Carol's new husband in the movie.
Oh shit.
so he's on screen for about 10 seconds. is
Yeah,
what you're
pretty
saying.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other writer is Josh Stolberg, which, like, if you look at his filmography,
He's
it's-
around.
Yeah, he's around, but it's funny because Good Luck Chuck is like a definite changing point in his career. Before this, he mostly worked on kids shows such as Sabrina the Animated Series and Avatar: The Last Airbender. And
Well, he was in the writer's room for 2 episodes. Is what I had saw. So I was like, all right.
But after Good Luck Chuck, he primarily worked on horror movies. He did Piranha 3D and a few of the Saw sequels.
Okay.
Horror, Piranha 3D, the
What-
ass-clenchingly horror movie, Piranha 3D.
Why do so many of we have a lot of films on here, and then if you trace back different elements through IMDb, they always lead back to Piranha 3D.
Like it's like 6 degrees again.
Yeah, and you're like,
Pretty
oh,
much.
okay, so this is a shitty director. Let me guess, Piranha 3D. He was the lighting director.
This guy was a grip
There's
on
a direct
Piranha 3D.
pipeline.
all right?
There's an industry pipeline.
You can really work your way
through
up.
Piranha
Listen.
3D.
It's like all the worst people came together to just make garbage.
Yeah, it's like at some
Beautiful.
point on the set for Piranha 3D, they all just took a blood pact with the devil.
Guys, we're going places.
Just like with a knife, like, all right, we're gonna make.
No,
some
they use the
awful movies."
piranhas.
Oh yes. Oh
Yeah.
god, that would hurt. It's not
A
gonna
knife
bleed
wouldn't
much.
hurt?
Ugh. Well, no, like but a piranha would be like a staple
Uh-huh.
remover trying to extract blood from the hand for the pact, guys.
Yeah.
I'm off. We were off the rails. Anyway,
All right. So this movie came out September 21st, 2007, on budget of $25 million. It made $59.8 million at the box office. So like, not great, but decent.
what was the budget again?
$25 million.
Oh, so it made a little bit.
Yeah. It currently stands at 5% on Rotten Tomatoes, and
Like singular 5.
Yeah, singular 5.
Oh my
Man.
god.
And a 5.6 on IMDb. It was nominated for 2 Razzie Awards.
Nice.
Jessica Alba was nominated for Worst Actress, and then Jessica Alba and Dane Cook were nominated for Worst Screen Duo.
That checks out.
Dude, male privilege. How does Dane Cook not get a Razzie nom?
Yeah, I'm surprised because like sometimes the Razzies will just pick an actor and be like, all right, whatever they're in, we can expect them to just be on the nominations next year. You would think by like 2007, Dane Cook would be one.
I think
No,
he
Dane
owned
Cook
the
is
Razzies that
still at his peak right now.
Is he?
Yeah.
He has not become a joke at Good Luck Chuck.
Oh.
You have to get to whatever movie was next.
What movie was next?
I think it was
Mr. Brooks.
either My Best Friend's Girl or Employee of the Month.
Okay.
You know that movie that played Sidewinder by the Teddy Bears or something?
No.
There's just one song and I've only ever heard it in Employee of the Month and it fucking rocks, but
I
it's
mean,
like
yeah,
peak 2008.
Okay.
Yeah, his next starring role after this was My Best Friend's Girl.
Yeah, that's where it really started to go
Which
downhill.
we were talking about. You said is the reverse of this movie.
Yeah. That's actually what we were supposed to watch. I just forgot which one was which.
Well, this is the one. The thing is, when you guys told me Good Luck Chuck, I was like, I vaguely remember that movie. I remember seeing commercials for it when Dane Cook was huge, and then I was like, I'm not gonna go watch this, and I didn't, and now here we are. You know.
Look, I just remember being like 15 and just being psyched about the penguin panty shot when it came on.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't even
psyched
care
about
about
it?
Yeah, I
You
didn't
were
care
like,
about the
"Fuck yeah,
nudity
dude."
or anything. I was
Yeah.
just like, that's a great panty shot.
Fuck
Yeah.
yeah, dude. Like, dude,
skirt
the
just-
costuming department went hard to make sure that shit was like
Yeah.
perfect when it came off. Because if there's a
Yeah.
little like, if it folds up a little
It's a
bit,
crisp shot.
Yeah.
A nice set of
Yeah.
panties.
yeah,
I don't know what to
you
say.
need- I mean, you know, and like you could probably get those on Etsy.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now,
Like not those exact ones, but the design. You know.
all right. Well, now it's time for our opening statements. Chris and I will be defending the film. Brian and Zoe will be attacking it.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Would you like for us to go first?
Sure.
Sure.
Dane Cook, at the height of his popularity, delivers exactly what you want from him. All the tropes from the 2000 comedies mastered are front and center, but what many people fail to understand is it skews those tropes in its own over-the-top fashion. Don't follow the crowd and let Dane Cook's face stop you from seeing the bigger picture.
Perfect. All
Yeah.
right, you want me to do this?
Go for it.
Cool. Good Luck Chuck is a fitting title if Chuck refers to anybody who's been forced to watch this movie. It is so awful, I now question my friendship with Chris and Belton. The film stars Dane Cook, who you may remember as the 2006 version of Matt Rife with less Botox. Despite the fact that this movie is now 18 years old and therefore eligible for Dane Cook to date, there's constant overused rom-com tropes that were overused even at the time. Men being sexually assaulted for cheap laughs, a love interest that makes Madam Web look three-dimensional, and for some reason, half-naked 11-year-olds. If you want a raunchy 2007 comedy, watch Superbad instead.
Wait, did that come? When did Superbad come out?
2007.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're old.
Yeah.
No,
Remember when
it's not.
Bill
I
Hader-
just like
Remember when Bill Hader was just the guy on SNL that was doing movies also? Like, you know.
this. I don't know. This feels like it should be like 3 years before Superbad.
No, 2007. Because I remember watching that movie as a kid and being like, wow, these guys are so cool. And then I watched the movie when I was like 19 and I was like, these guys are fucking losers. Which is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to grow up and realize they suck.
Okay, I do want to start. I think a lot of aspects were meant to be like over the top parodies of a lot of stuff we've seen before, because there are just like different aspects that are like familiar, but with someone different. I think like the best scene that encapsulates this is like the big airport scene, because like that's a scene we've seen in a lot of movies where a guy chases a girl in the airport, but obviously post 9/11 you can't do that, and it's like they do a great job of just skewing that idea.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, if you're in an airport and you see someone running, you know they're in their third act of their character arc in that moment.
For me, it just goes to show what I was thinking about when he has to buy those 2 tickets. I'm just sitting there and I'm like, well, now he's $20,000 in debt. Like, that's the big issue here.
That was 2007 pre 2008 housing crash, $17,000.
Oh yeah.
That's some money. See, I
I
mean,
hope
guess,
he paid
and
off his
his-
mortgage on that house.
His career is going to die in 2009.
He doesn't know that. That's a little thing
No.
called dramatic irony that the audience
Oh.
knows. We know something he doesn't.
Oh, man.
Yeah, no, that's also how I know he was rich, because I watched that scene. I was just like, I don't think my credit card would let me do
No.
that.
Well, it's also because like the ending of the movie, they show them like on a trip to Antarctica, and I'm like, all right, well, that costs $20,000 right there. Like, so he must have some money if
He's a
20K is
dentist.
not. Yeah, I mean,
Well,
I don't know if dentists make money. Though.
Well, I mean,
Dentists make good money.
Yeah.
yeah, that does make it a good. Like, also that trip at the end definitely cost less, because remember, he had to buy 2 first-class trips.
Oh yeah, they were
Yep.
first class.
Yeah, and because he went to one gate, it's just like, all right, she's not on this plane, and then went to the
Mhm.
other.
yeah.
Yeah, true.
I think I'm having trouble believing that you can buy that second ticket going to Antarctica. Like, you'd get to Argentina and then they'd be like, oh, so are you a scientist? And you're like, well,
Mm.
no.
Well, I guess he was just trying to find her.
Yeah, he's getting.
What's
on
the thing?
plane.
I was also like, are there commercial flights going to Antarctica?
I'm
There-
pretty sure there are. I once.
I don't know if they go direct.
No, not direct, but like I once met someone who's just like, yeah, I went to Antarctica. There's a gift shop.
I think you have to go.
That's it. It's just
Oh
a
my
gift shop,
God.
and then you immediately get back on the plane.
Pretty much.
All right, here's a snow globe. Get back on.
I mean, also I would say with the story structure, it definitely does more than like what the premise demanded. Because like I think given the premise, a typical Hollywood producer would just be like, okay, so he's gonna be like this dirtbag guy who essentially discovers a super power. And sleeps with him. Essentially, the like misogynist with a hard gold trope, and then like he meets the manic pixie dream girl who changes him forever. Like I think that they actually did more with the plot than that. Have him go through like different stages of like acceptance and realization.
I guess.
I just feel like it was so. I almost thought that Dane Cook was somehow involved in like the writing of this movie, because it just seemed so a vehicle to have him play like, wow, every woman wants me, but I'm such a good guy. I just want love, but all these women want to have sex with me.
Ugh.
Oh no.
It's such a relatable problem, honestly. Like, I get it.
It's kind of like, it sort of seems like the script was written to like head off a scandal coming in the future.
Oh god.
Someone's just gonna be like, "Oh, you mean the guy from Good Luck Chuck? No, he's the best."
No, he's
Yeah.
a great guy. Like,
Mhm.
remember when his secretary raped him and he was
Oh my
like,
God.
no, it's cool. Like, I'm going to keep employing you.
That movie, that part was just so sad.
It was, but then like, yeah, no, it was really sad because she like straight up like goes to assault him, but then he like takes pity on her because she like needs to like find love or whatever, and then you're meant to be like, wow, he's such a good guy for helping her out.
Well, it was just, it has such a weird beat
Body
because,
slammed
like,
him.
no, she's like on top of him on a table, which I was fully like, this table's going to collapse. That'll be the funny joke that they'll do with this scene. But like, then she's like, oh, think about whoever you have to. And he's just like, don't worry about it. I'll think about you the whole time. And I'm like, is this supposed to be like a nice
Sweet.
moment? Is this?
I think that is like the most caring a man could be in 2007. Like sleeping with an ugly woman and then also
Wow.
being empathetic to her while you're doing it. That
Yeah.
is
Wow.
like the peak of like being a caring guy in 2007.
Honestly.
I
You're
also love that
completely right.
there's only 2 types of women in this movie. It's like gorgeous models, and then the most disgusting, like Honey Boo Boo's mom is
Oh
like
my
that's the only 2 women that exist. There's no like regular women in this movie.
yeah.
Like truly, did this come out before or after Honey Boo Boo? Because that feels like that's what they were going for a little bit.
It's Hollywood. They don't let regular women exist. Period.
It's true. They don't even
Yeah.
let women that are older than 30 in Hollywood. So I mean, well, you know, what are we doing? Sorry, I dropped a truth bomb. there,
Yeah.
guys.
Got too real.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but I mean, like,
So
I mean, like, with a premise like this, obviously, like, there's no way to like not indulge the quote like male fantasy of having a literal magic penis and every woman wants to
Well,
sleep with
okay,
you. Like,
let's you know what? I'm gonna fight you on that, Belton. I'm gonna fight you on that. Is it the penis or is it the man attached to the penis?
I think it's the cum.
If you
Actually, no,
story.
because
End of
he
debate.
uses condoms.
yeah,
They do
no,
show
he's
that.
safe sex.
Yeah,
like,
and he
they
didn't-
did do a really good job promoting safe sex
yeah,
in
like
this
he
movie.
pulls out like a whole thing of them in front of the mirror when he's like, I'm a legend, and then just has like all
Okay,
these condoms.
I'm just. Can you imagine? Okay. I
Like-
just want to know. Imagine a movie where he's a sociopath, and so what he does is not wear condoms, with the knowledge that they're gonna end up getting married like 6 months later, and so now he's just a part of the marriage.
Oh.
like, are you implying that he impregnates
Yeah,
them?
he's he's
Okay.
impregnating everyone.
Okay.
and then
Oh my
they
God.
plan this engagement because apparently they get married 6 months into dating.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Every relationship happens so quickly.
So he is just like the other man in like 19 different.
That's
Yeah.
kind of evil.
That's a
Yeah,
little evil.
well, I mean, also the relationships happening so quickly. That's
Mhm.
another part where it's just like obviously making fun of the tropes because like in romantic comedy, it's like you see like at the end they have the big kiss. And then they're just immediately happy forever. I feel like that whole like running stick was just making fun of that.
It's interesting that you like read it as parodying the genre because I really didn't think it was self-aware enough to do that.
It doesn't hit the tropes hard enough for it to feel like
Yeah.
it was a parody. It felt like it was like, oh no, this is in line of what was considered conventionally funny in 2007.
If you're gonna make a parody, lean into
Like
it.
the dude being like having his wife with 3 boobs, which like
Oh my God.
it was weird that they don't show them at first. And you thought it was just because they just didn't want to hire a VFX guy to make the effects. And then they show it in the post-credit scene.
Yeah,
There are
the
three
most
boobs.
traumatizing post-credit scene
we
I've
need to
ever
talk about the
seen.
post-credit scene. We need to talk about that post-credit scene.
Okay, I never saw the post-credit scene.
Oh.
We turned it off, and then today Belton texted me, and he's like, "Hey, just a heads up, they show the 3 titties." And I was
That's
like,
not even the worst part.
"What's the worst part?"
Oh
you
my
wanna take
God.
this?
Do you have notes on it? Do you want to?
We could just put it
yeah.
up on that screen.
Look at us being more prepared than the hosts.
Okay, so basically in the post credit scene, like while Cam and Charlie are in Arica, Stu and his fiance are house sitting for them, they go through a jar, find a sex tape Cam and Charlie made, and the tape is just like role playing where Charlie's like going down on one of the penguin dolls in her room.
And like,
Like full on like tongue on.
and then he turns it
paint.
around to like eat ass.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's like Jessica
It's so
Alba is
disturbing.
like behind the camera encouraging him.
She's like into it. Like
Yeah.
it's like getting her off.
Yep.
And I thought, I kept giving this movie too much credit because I thought it was going to be because they're having the friend house sit. They know he's a creep. Of course he's going to go through their stuff. So I thought it was like, oh, they planted this tape and then they're going to turn around and be like, haha, like got you, you sick fuck. But then it's like, oh no, she's actually really enjoying him eating out this toy penguin.
yeah.
It was disturbing.
There's a lot of it's like, and again, they show the 3 titties, and again,
They
I
do.
thought it was because they just didn't have the money
prosthetic.
to make that effect, and they were like, no, they just saved it.
It
for
was
the
well
credits.
executed.
Like it's a Marvel reveal for the next
yeah.
movie.
Were
Yeah.
they good? Did they like?
It was a well executed.
No, they look
aesthetic.
good. I mean, they look good. I mean,
There were
Belton
3
said
of
They
them.
were good for 2007. so-
Yeah, no,
I
they
think
were.
that's a fair
They
assessment.
were
Yeah.
good.
He's like, if it was 2025,
Mhm.
I'd
Yeah,
be
like-
jerking it right now.
Listen, no, we're amongst friends. I can't do it now. That would be
Yeah.
rude.
Oh my God.
Later, by all
Oh my
means.
God.
But you know,
This movie is obsessed with boobs.
yeah, it was written
Like,
by a man in
obsessed.
2007.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
Okay,
I'm like,
that's what we all
Not
wanted.
even a single ass comment.
that's the thing.
Because in 2007, no one wanted an ass.
Nah, we didn't eat
Yeah,
ass yet.
you're
That was
right.
Grandpa's time
You're
before
right.
we started eating ass, unless it was a penguin.
Yeah, no, because like 2007, I feel like was still in the middle of that like everyone has to be skinny era.
It was the
Oh,
heroin
yeah.
chic.
Yes,
Oh,
heroin
yeah.
chic. Yeah, I mean we're still kind of there. That's
We kinda
so-
came
You
back
know,
around to
We're
it.
coming back around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we're back in the big boobs. Everyone's
Yeah.
got to be skinny. They're
We-
wearing a lot of corsets.
Yeah.
That's becoming.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I hate
corsets.
Yeah.
Yeah, corsets are dumb.
I never know how to do that front clasp with the little like trying
There's
to line
too
them up.
many.
I don't even know what
I
you're
need
talking
another
about.
degree.
Yeah,
for
neither
that.
do I.
Like,
It's complicated stuff.
They don't have. It's like all these. It's like 19 different hooks, and you have to line them
Mhm.
up. But if you don't get them right all at once, every time you try to put one in, a different one comes undone. And then here
It's
I
just
am,
torture.
like trying to
torture.
like make my breathing work.
I think the belt I'm wearing right now is my most complicated piece of clothing.
I admire that.
This button up. And these are just pop on buttons.
Oh.
Do this. and that takes a little bit of time. See, I'm
You
struggling with
struggle.
it now.
Oh my
this
God.
thing's- But like that's
Good
it.
job.
You know,
Good job.
these Tims with the
Now we're
laces,
just
that's-
talking fashion.
Yeah, no, we can talk. Boys can talk fashion too. Is that men can be vulnerable.
As this movie shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They can be vulnerable and they can be the victim of sexual assault by at least 3 women in the movie, I
Yeah.
believe.
They don't address
Yeah.
Charlie's trauma enough in this movie.
They really don't. And he doesn't really address it either. Like, there's not even anything. I don't even get an indication from Dane Cook's acting choices that that's even like an underlying thing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even get any like, oh yeah, like it's underneath the surface. He just doesn't get. It's like, no, it's just not even there.
It's 2007. Therapy
Yeah.
didn't exist yet.
I know.
Therapy didn't
I know it
exist yet.
didn't exist. Or if
Oh
it
my
did, it was
God.
like, like a Freudian shrink that was just like, and how does that make you feel? You know?
Yeah, I mean, again, with that, it's like Stu, the pervert, is his go-to confidant, and like
Mhm.
essentially ends up being like the barometer of where his character is at throughout the film, and it's like Stu is someone where it's like a lot of guys end up having this problem. He puts like his entire self-value in sex and projects that onto Charlie. So it's like
Mhm.
because of that, that's how a lot of Charlie's problems get ignored.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Well, there's literally like one of the few decent scenes was like the part where Dane Cook is like, it's after the gratuitous sex
The montage.
which
Yeah.
like it's like, all right, how many times do we need to see Dane Cook just plowing?
It went on
women?
for a little too
It
long.
was
Yeah,
excessive.
That was the part where I was like, I think Dane Cook was in the editing room for this
Oh,
scene.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, I saw an interview Dane Cook did like on the press tour for this. Apparently, like with that montage, it was just like it was apparently a total of like 30 women. So it was just like every day of shooting, he just had to like go back to a room and shoot one of the scenes for that
Oh my
montage.
gosh.
Oh yeah, what a champ.
Wow.
But anyway, like it's the scene after that where Dane Cook is like, what is sex if it's not meaningful? And then the guy's just like, sex! Like he just like gets mad. He's like, you're still getting laid. Fuck you. And I was like, all right, that's like the one moment in the movie that actually was like a little funny, you know?
His delivery was
Yeah.
good.
Okay, look, I'm not gonna defend stuff they said in that movie. They had a decent sense for physical comedy in that movie,
A little bit.
Yeah,
and they did have some decent lines.
Yeah.
I think like a good amount of the physical comedy was well done. Like at the wedding, the bouquet toss into a dove.
Oh my
was
God, that was-
hilarious.
That was funny.
That did get you.
Yeah, it did.
That did actually get you.
Like there are multiple points of watching this movie where I'm like, okay, like
Yeah.
we've watched movies on this podcast where you just like you watch it and you're like, oh, you've never laughed in your entire life,
Mhm.
but you're like, okay, this is like a comedian having kind of an off day.
Okay.
Yeah. No, there were a few moments where I was like, you know what? I'll give you
I
that
feel
one.
like a comedy movie, like I think it's statistically speaking, if you're going with like a joke or a laugh line like every 15, 20 seconds, like you're gonna hit on something. You know what I mean? But if you can count the number of jokes you get on one hand, then it's like, all right, well, this is a 90-minute movie. That's a really bad laugh per minute ratio. You know, it's like, I don't know, like you could do better than that. I don't know, watch like Airplane. Like that movie's insane. Like, every joke hits. But like with this one, it's like, all right, there's like 5 that were okay.
Okay,
Well,
holding every comedy to the
Yeah,
standard of
that's
Airplane is
not
a
a
bit
fair
unfair.
comparison.
Okay, fine, but like, like I don't know, like I don't think it's like, oh yeah, like there were 5 funny moments out of a 90-minute movie. It's like, all right, well that's statistically very bad then, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. That's
Okay.
like a real fair point. That's
Oh,
pretty
is
fair.
that a problem? That I brought an actual
Yeah, that's
criticism?
like fucking fair.
Yeah, we're not here for
Okay.
actual
Just
takes.
come in here throwing a wrench in my plan.
I want you to come in here and I want you to be like, you know what the biggest problem is? Not enough Dane Cook peen. That's what I
Oh my
want.
God.
All right.
I think this movie could have used a Dane Cook.
I think we could have used a little more penetration, personally.
Yeah.
The
think that's-
montage wasn't enough for
I
you.
think there wasn't enough. Well, there wasn't enough full penetration. It was like very
Oh.
softcore. I'm like, no, I want to learn something from this movie. I want to see how the human body works.
The other thing is, like, watching this movie, I was just like, I feel like this movie just doesn't really exist anymore. Like, there's no mid-level budget raunchy comedy.
Well, yeah,
but-
streaming killed it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a bummer.
Yeah, like we should have more of those, but Netflix won't because it's it's again they'll either do shoestring budget stuff that's like an indie flick that was shot on like a $4,000 budget, or it'll be like Marvel or Stranger Things season 12 or whatever.
I feel like you could cut down. You could do like a low budget comedy. I feel like.
Yeah, I mean you could self-produce it and then bring it to a festival circuit.
Like I feel like Dane Cook was the biggest expense in this movie.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, it's like probably
That
him
and
and
the
Jessica
prosthetic
Alba.
boob.
Yeah, probably him and
Prosthetic
Jessica
boob.
Alba, because I do feel like
Yeah.
also 2007 Jessica Alba was also at her peak.
She
oh no,
was.
100%. She
Wait,
was
was
like
she?
yeah, that
Yeah.
was like coming off the classic Fantastic Four. I mean
Oh, that.
she was in Fantastic Four. She was
Yeah.
Mrs. the whatever her name is.
Invisible Woman.
Yeah,
Oh,
Mrs.
yeah.
Fantastic or whatever. Yeah,
Got it.
I didn't
Wow.
watch that movie.
I remember that
She-
movie.
I vaguely remember it.
Her character in this movie, she executed what she was told to do very well. It was just like a hot mess. I was like, damn.
Well, you were
she's-
saying that you thought it was going to turn out that she
I-
was cursed.
That's the okay. Again, I had high hopes for this movie, and I thought it was going to be like some twist because she was so klutzy. Where her whole thing is like, oh my god, like Murphy's Law, like anything that can go wrong. Oh my god, and then she trips again. But I was like, what if they're made for each other because she's also cursed, and she's cursed where like she's gonna every klutzy
Like-
thing
yeah,
happens
Like
and it
she
drives
played
men
in
away.
7 Minutes of Heaven with a goth boy,
And then it was
he
just like,
cursed her.
oh no, like
Uh,
she's just that quirky.
All right, that a twist like that actually will work, but it's like again, that was something that was just so over the top because
Mhm.
like it's a common trope. That it's like, oh, you just make like this hot female lead like somewhat klutzy to make her relatable. It's like they went over the top with it. It was like essentially a lot of aspects similar to something like Not Another Teen Movie, except in Not Another Teen Movie, they explicitly spell it out. This is what we're doing. And this
Yeah.
movie did not do that.
Yeah, no, this movie. Also, you've now switched to criticizing the movie. So now we've switched places. But it's like it doesn't hit the tropes hard enough. Like it approaches them
Yeah.
as if it's just like, oh yeah, this is what a movie like this is supposed
If
to
you're
do.
making fun of it, make fun of it.
Like there's not a lot of creativity to the movie. It kind of was just like, oh yeah, this is what rom-coms from 2 years ago were doing. We'll do this. I don't like that.
Mhm.
You want to get into 3 things?
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
All right. Yep.
Okay.
Now it's time for our concessions. This is
Yeah.
where Chris and I give 3 things we didn't like about the movie, and Brian and Zoe give 3 things they like.
Oh yeah.
You want us to?
Sure. It's pretty misogynistic.
A little bit.
It's got a bit of a misogynistic undertone.
Just
a little sprinkling.
Like
smidge,
one little line or
with
two.
like the complete lack of agency in female characters and
a little
like
bit.
yeah.
Yeah. Like all the women are pretty much reduced their looks.
and their only goal in life is to get married and nothing else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That they're throwing themselves at Dane Cook to get married. Like, I need to get married so badly. Fuck me right now. And that's it.
Okay. The costume department definitely understood the assignment, and I think they did do very well in terms of like they were told like we're hiring these women with incredible boobs, accentuate them. And like I don't know, the costumes all came together well, I think. And I also, the friend I noticed like at the wedding, I was like, oh, they're pointing out he's the quirky weird friend because he's got like the weird pattern shirt and the weird pattern tie, and like his weird vibe was consistent. I don't know. I feel like the costume.
It was such a weird suit choice where I was like, yep, that you can smell the cologne off that guy.
Yeah.
With that suit.
Yeah, so I feel like
combination.
they understood the assignment and they executed it well.
Yep.
Yeah. Like that's the thing with costuming is like a lot of like fancy period piece movies get credit. Like a lot of contemporary work, it does take skill to like bring that out with clothes you see every day.
Yeah. It's just the
for sure.
choices are not as pronounced, but they do make a difference between like
Mhm.
just the color of what someone's wearing or like, the style of suit.
Cleavage.
Yeah, exactly. Cleavage. That's very important. We need more cleavage. I've
Yeah.
been saying this.
Yeah. Our next concession, the acting was bad across the board.
I mean, enough said.
Yeah, like because watching it, like I felt like Stu, like even if a lot of his aspects could have been toned down, if you put like Jack Black or Seth Rogen in that role, like it's instantly a much more tolerable character.
Yeah.
Maybe, but I also feel like that was what they were. Well, first of all, there's no way they were getting Seth Rogen or Jack Black for a movie like that.
Oh, yeah.
There's no way. Like this guy was like their third choice for like an actor. But I feel like I don't know. You're supposed to feel like he's a creep. I feel like.
I mean, tolerable, not in the sense of like
Mhm.
we're supposed to like him as a person, but like just enjoy his presence on screen.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, because
agree.
also with Dane Cook, it's very clear they just let him like go off in certain scenes. I noticed on second watch, if you watch like after Charlie and Cam sleep together and he's on the phone with Stu, that scene, he keeps moving back and forth. You can tell the cameraman is just struggling to keep up with him.
Oh my god.
Like,
Oh my God.
like the cameraman clearly was not told to be
Mhm.
expecting this, and they just ended up using that cut for the movie.
Oh my god. I don't remember that, but
You did notice too, though. Like there were times you're like, oh, they just let him kind of ad lib there.
Well,
for
it actually wasn't as much as I thought it would be. I thought this was going to be like, no script, Dane Cook just says funny shit, and that's it. The only part I can really think of is when he starts smothering Cam, and he's just like all over her, like trying to keep her affection. And there were a few
Mhm.
moments where he was like goofing around. And I was like, okay, this is the part where they let him improvise. Because up until that point, it felt like they were sticking to the script pretty closely, and there
Yeah.
wasn't a lot of improv happening.
Yeah, because I think the thing is like when you take like big comedians like that have like big stage and eccentric stage presences like Dane Cook and Kevin Hart, it's like director and producer is like, all right, just let them be them for a bit, and we're gonna like get something out of it, and like that's just what they do.
Yeah.
hmm
It's interesting because like this does feel like a script that they did just have laying around that they were just like, all right, who's a big name we can get? Oh, Dane Cook, you. Like they just like because the character is very much like there's a million leading men that could have played that role and would have been like
Yeah.
fine in it. You know what I mean? Like if they gave that part to like I don't know who's a big name now. Like if they gave it to like Matt Rife, for instance, like it would have been fine. It would have been different, but I feel like he would have been fine with it. You know? I don't know.
I suppose. Dane
Timothy
Cook isn't.
Chalamet,
There we go.
Timothy Chalamet, okay.
Perfect.
Paul Mescal,
Paul Giamatti.
Paul Giamatti.
Perfect. Perfect.
Honestly, I want this movie.
I'd watch that.
I want the exact same movie. The only difference is that Paul Giamatti is just superimposed over Dane Cook the entire movie. That's
I
all
I
I
would love
want.
that.
Replace Jessica Alba with Ronda Rousey.
Perfect.
Perfect. But again,
Oh
it's
my
the exact.
God.
You just cut like you just paste them over them,
Mhm.
and that's it. And if it looks like shit, that's fine. I don't care.
Still an improvement.
Oh yeah, and including the sex scenes. I want Paul Giamatti sex scenes.
I guess. Did you have other concessions?
There were a couple funny lines.
Yes, there were.
There was one that was kind of fun. It's when they're at the park
Oh,
and
yeah.
I forget, Stu is saying something about Native Americans or something, and then Dane Cook is like, "Oh no, they're called Indians," and he's like, "Oh, they don't like being called that," or something like that. I forget. I don't remember the exact context of it, but like that was like I was like, all right, that's a funny line, and that was it. One funny line.
He had a few. He had a few
And then
ones that made me chuckle.
the grandma that curses. That was a trope in that era where they would
Oh,
just
yeah.
have a grandma who looked all sweet, and then she'd like be like, "Fuck you, you piece of shit," and like walk away. And that was it.
It was really funny. I enjoyed when she took the frisbee and just walked away with it.
Oh yeah, because he's like throwing frisbee, and just whacking everybody with it
That
like a
did
fucking
surprise
idiot.
me.
He was
I
like, all
liked
right, he, at least this character got his comeuppance.
Yeah,
Mhm.
honestly, that is like an old person thing to do. Just be like, you're annoying people, so this is mine now.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
loved it.
And which is like, all right, at least he got what he deserved there.
hmm
Yeah.
All right.
So we have another concession? I forget.
Well, it's their turn.
Yeah.
Okay.
have one
Lack of main character progress. Dane
Yeah,
Cook
That's
like,
so
kinda
true.
Yeah,
just-
like it
Yeah.
doesn't feel like he has like a real arc. Like we were discussing after watching this, like they don't give him like a real definite starting point. Like if I feel like if they start him at a point where it's like he's in these relationships, he keeps getting dumped, and he seems like the perfect guy on paper, but like maybe give the hint that like he dives in way too deep, way too fast, and then like everything else makes sense because then like the sex montage is like him at a point where it's just like he's trying to accept like, all right, is meaningless sex everything I'm gonna have, and then and then he has to like try and make a relationship work, and then he becomes desperate, so he goes back to his old ways of love bombing. Like if you just start him off there, then like he has an actual arc to work on.
Well, the issue is that like it's weird that he's in his early to mid 30s and he doesn't realize this already. Like, because this curse is put on him when he was 10. He's presumably been sexually active for like a decade plus at that point, and he hasn't noticed that pattern already.
That's something else we
You'd think
discussed.
like it's weird that he was like discovering it, and I'm like, you think he'd know about this
He has
already?
no female friends. So like the female friend would be the person who would go find out how the ex is doing.
Yeah.
And they didn't have Facebook or anything. So like it's just very clearly doesn't have any female friends.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I feel like it would almost work if it was something where he was aware of it when we meet him, and he's just he's just like a sex worker, basically, just taking advantage of the system. And then he meets Cam, and then he's like, "Oh shit, I don't want this."
Yeah, I mean the thing is, MySpace existed at this point.
That's how Dane Cook got famous.
Yeah,
through MySpace.
Yeah, exactly.
It all loops into each other.
They could have done something where it's like, all right, he finally gets an account and starts reconnecting with like you know, the people you know, and then he starts to see the patterns.
Yeah, something like that. I also think it's weird that they kind of almost hit on this, but not. But they were like, is it actually a curse, or is it just his inability to commit that's really causing this to happen? And they kind of try to hint at that, but then they show the scene with the goth girl at the end.
The goth girl at the end scene just didn't really.
Yeah, it was like. Also, it bothers me that they. Okay, this is like what like they. The lighting, they really accentuate the adult actress has very blue eyes, but the girl that played her as a kid did not. She had like brown eyes. So that it was like, what the fuck?
That's what ruined the movie.
Honestly,
well, she's
really.
no longer goth.
Yeah.
Yes!
I mean,
she was though. She still had the voodoo doll though.
Yeah, that's the thing. She still had the voodoo doll. She has to have like moved multiple times and kept carrying her around.
Yeah,
it's
she's
like,
a homeowner.
It's like, at what point does she not think she's like, you know, this is a really fucked up thing to do to a then 10-year-old that I assaulted?
Like, did she? And the fact that she still has it, does that mean, does she realize that the curse was real, and then, or did she just have that with her and then was like, why not, and just take it out, and then that broke the curse? Like, I don't know. Like, so did Chuck? By the way, they also, I don't think they ever refer to him as Chuck in the movie.
It was his ex whose wedding it was. And at one point, she's like trying to like give him a little pep talk about like, you know, like you got to get back out there, Chuck, or something like that.
He's called Charlie the whole movie.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a title that they workshopped in a focus group.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Like there was like, sure, that sounds good, and it just doesn't.
Yeah.
And I don't really know why. Like, good luck, Chuck. It's like, what about this is luck?
Because he's the good luck charm,
I guess. But like it's saying good luck to him, but
no,
it's like,
he needs good luck. So like, good luck, Chuck. You're gonna get through this.
Yes, get through all this puss. You're gonna get through all that real hard stuff, dude.
I guess the last concession, I did appreciate her reaction to the love bombing. Like, I feel like they actually conveyed that very seriously, of her being like, "You're insane. This isn't cool. You're freaking me out." I feel like that was like, actually, I was like, that's a realistic reaction to something like this.
Yeah, because usually in movies, that's like played up as like the guy's like winning her over, but it's like, no, they correctly portrayed it as creepy.
It's the line where she looks at him and she's like, "I'm genuinely considering changing my phone number." Like the way she said it, I was like,
there wasn't even a laugh line. Like, it was serious.
That came from a real place.
Yeah.
I was like, Jessica Alba's probably had some dudes be weird to her, so I'm sure she's pulling from a real experience there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then it's undone by them getting back together.
Exactly.
And then it completely undercuts it and destroys that scene. But like, for that, if the movie ended there, it would have been like, okay, sure, that's cool. I thought what was gonna happen was, because they show the other penguin guy, they show his wife, like Dane Cook walks past her when he leaves the like penguinatorium or whatever. And like, we were like, there was like a brief focus on her for like a second, and we're like, okay. And then you see her go into the airplane. You're like, oh, he's gonna hook up with her. And then it turned out that she was the wife of the penguin guy. But we were like, maybe they actually subvert expectations here, and then maybe he ends up hooking up with this other girl here, maybe. No. But no. The stars must always end up together.
Yeah. All right. Well, now it's time for our closing arguments.
Yeah. Did you write a closing argument?
I did.
Okay.
You're welcome.
I did not. So thank you.
All right. Everything you dislike about this movie is that it came out in 2007. If you remove it from the sensibilities of the early aughts, you have a pretty solid film. It's a decent rom-com that flips the standard gendered roles on their heads while subtly questioning what's true love. I give it 3 out of 5 sandy ball sacks in your mouth.
See, that almost convinced me. Almost. Good Luck Chuck is a great movie to watch with your partner because it'll make you thankful your relationship looks nothing like the ones they show on screen. This movie ranges from immature to straight up uncomfortable, and any attempts to make an actual point are overshadowed by misogyny, overdone bits, and unlikable shallow characters. Good Luck Chuck is a rom-com with no real heart, and no amount of cute penguins makes the hour and 40 minutes you spend with it worth the time. So
All right, before we head off, I just have to say one thing that bugged me while watching a movie. While like doing a demonstration, Cam mentions this like and like all the male penguins like they sit on the eggs to keep them warm for months. That's only for emperor penguins. There was not single emperor penguin in that exhibit.
Wow, I feel lied to. Because also I did at one point I was like, the penguins are a metaphor for monogamy. It's a metaphor. And then that's about as deep as they went with it.
Yeah, they had one scene where they explained it.
What a scam.
Not enough
What a
pesto.
scam. I did really enjoy it. I got excited. I love beluga whales. And like there were like 1 or 2 times where they showed a beluga whale and I got really excited.
Yeah, when he was like moping through the aquarium.
That was the high point of the movie for me, was the whale.
Just a beluga being like, hey, Dane, don't worry. Your next special will be better. It won't be.
All right. Well, thank you guys for coming on. Where can people follow you?
Brian Bueche on everything. BrianBoochy, all one word, no underscore. That's my handle on Instagram, on TikTok, on Rednote, if we're doing that still. Yes, I am. I have not done anything on it. On Blue Sky. And that's all the apps for now.
Yeah, I don't post much yet, but Zoe Bentley 24 if you want to follow me. I've got a lot of drafts on TikTok that might make it up there one day because I think I'm hilarious.
All right. Well, thank you guys for coming on. This has been another episode of Film versus Movie. I'm Belton DeLaine-Facey.
And I'm Chris Shurr.
And we'll see you all next time.